various platforms. So thanks, mate. Thanks for joining. Anybody listening in, thanks for joining myself and Graeme. We're going to be talking all things Amazon, sourcing, China, and life in general. Athena's been doing a few of these lives over the last couple of weeks, and we've had some great feedback saying who's on next. And Athena interviewed me, asked me a few questions, and I thought, do you know what? I want to crack a bean on the other side of it. So I've asked my good friend Graeme.
Well, no pressure. It's no pressure with obviously, all the success to start off with. So see if we can hold up our end, mate.
Yeah, perfect, man. I wanted to be on this side. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, run through a bit. And as we said before, you and I waffle on a bit. So I don't think we'll be short of things to talk about. If anything, people might be interested in telling us to shut up, right? But I think we're good. So let's start at the beginning, man. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, where things started and where you are now?
Sure thing. So my background is predominantly real estate. I'd been doing that 16 years prior to getting into Amazon. It's just one of those things. I love property as a kid and started off as a salesperson and did that for a while and worked my way up and then started my own business, which was a lot of challenges, but a lot of learnings, which is part of the journey, I guess, in business. Things were going good. We had a few different franchises I worked with. Might have been, I don't know the exact numbers, like 45, 50 staff that we had in our business. COVID came around, which obviously made a big difference for a lot of people in the world. But it just opened my eyes up to more than just real estate, so to speak, as a business. And that's how I found Amazon. I was trying to find different ways that, I could move my life forward. But I also realized the stress and pressure of the business I had. I kind of built what I didn't want. So then obviously with a lot of goal setting and things, you're starting to figure out, okay, what would an ideal life look like and what potential avenues could help me with that. Came across Amazon. So that was 2020. Got into that in an aggressive way, we'll say. Basically made my mind up, I'm going to make it work. There was too many successful people without ego. I was looking at them thinking, there's no reason I can't do what they're doing. So, went pretty aggressive with Amazon and realized that I knew this is where I wanted to do. Built the business up to a stage where we had a partial exit. Was maybe a year ago now. I worked with you guys in a team and I love my life, mate. Amazon's been great.
Yeah, you were happy to be away from the real estate world, despite it being so good to you for so long?
Yeah, I still love real estate, but it's a different business model. To grow that kind of model, it's just more and more people, more and more hours, and being I shouldn't say a slave, because everyone's got different spaces, but also after 16 years, everyone has their kind of tendership where they're like, you know what, it's starting to wear on it a bit. So no, I still enjoy that game, but I love the Amazon world and the creative side, which I didn't really have in the real estate side of things that I can use and build a business. I think a big thing for me, though, is the cap where within Australia and local businesses, there's kind of a level you can realistically get to, where in Amazon or e-commerce in general, there's not. It's just how good and how much you want to learn and how much you want to implement. So, yeah, I love this game.
Yeah, sky's the limit. And like within Titan, which we'll come on to, you got into that in a second, but many of our leaders, mentors, members have made a lot of money out of selling a brand, and they've just started again, right? So one brand, but then multiple brands and over again, repeatable process. You just keep going. So yeah, the sky really is the limit in this industry. So that's why we're here. So let's talk Titan. So how did you come across Titan? How did you get into and get involved with us?
I found Titan, firstly through a referral, but then it became multiple referrals. I think one thing I was very lucky about with coming into Amazon in general is all the lessons and mistakes I made in real estate, because even though it was a different industry, there's so many similarities about being successful. I know I wasted in the real estate world at least 5 years mucking around, not realizing that I was a very good salesperson, but being a good salesperson has nothing to do with being a good business owner. I didn't understand this. So, you open your own business and I'm selling like crazy and I'm doing more work and I'm thinking, I own a business, but I don't really. I'm still just an employee. It's a different mindset when you become a business owner. And I became truly successful, I believe, in real estate once I realized I needed help from professionals, not people who stand on stage and, can speak a really good speech, but they're actually not doing it in the trenches. I learned from people who, yes, were good salespeople, but more importantly, they were great business owners and understood systems, procedures, how to go about certain things with cash flow, managing people. So that knowledge I took with when I started this game, I knew from day one, okay, if I'm serious, and I'd made a commitment to myself that I was, the only way I'm truly going to get this going in a shorter period of time is to find the experts. And that's what I did. So it's not that hard to try and figure out pretty quickly who is just speaking a good speech on stage and who are actually, in the trenches doing the work. Same as real estate, the numbers don't lie. So I would challenge any other network or group who has the level of sellers and the kind of numbers that they're doing. The fact that they're humble and great human beings is a different issue. But I'm learning from people that have actually done it at a level I aspire to get to. So through different things, Amazon courses I was doing, and then you kind of hear, oh, Titan. I'm like, who's Titan? What's going on here? So a bit more work, and thank God I found you.
Yeah, good. And something that I love about you is that if you decide on something that you've already touched on, you go fully at it. You don't dabble in something. You're like, right, that's the path I'm going down. That's what I'm going after. And just I know you're a big believer in sort of like you get out what you put in. And every huddle that you're on within Titan, and I'm on a lot of those with you, you're really into giving back and helping people and that abundance mindset and getting out what you put in, right? So obviously you're a Titan mentor now. How important is that to you? What's the driver behind the what we see every day, and you really giving back and trying to help your peers and colleagues in the community?
I get a kick about helping other people because I can't explain it really, but it's a wonderful feeling when you see people in a certain stage where you think I was at not that long ago, and you see their success and you can't help but think, you know what? Yes, they got there through hard work, but I had a little bit to do with it.
Yeah.
So it's a great feeling. I think also when you teach other people, you learn more as well. So sometimes I'm chatting to people about, look, these are the certain things that when I started, that if I had my time over, to change things slightly differently. And I believe, you need to go this direction. And then you sort of take a breath and you think, am I doing that at the moment? Or do I know what I'm doing, but, I'm not actually implementing it. So there's like a flip side as well. By helping other people, I think you help yourself a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into it then. So let's talk about China. You'd been to, obviously we had a great time in April, and we'll get onto some of the results you got there, but you'd been to China before, right? You've been before coming with China Magic?
I did, yes. I went in 2019.
Okay, and how did that go?
Okay. Look, it was so China's like going to the gym. In the 3-part series, Athena and Dan were talking, going through things. They spoke about the gym, and like if you want to be successful in Amazon, you have to go to China. I think that's a given. It's kind of like if you want to get fit, you got to go to the gym. But going to China, I underestimated my skills. And what I mean by that is I was very successful in sales negotiations, and I realized that, well, I have these skills. I can go to China. I can negotiate with the people on the ground. I'll be fine. I'll get to meet factories. This sounds amazing, and I can truly build my business. But what I didn't realize is when you're negotiating with people in Australia, or I'm assuming America or other parts of the world, it's different than dealing with people in China. China, the relationship is more important. You can have conversations with the Chinese business owners that in Australia would be extremely offensive. Negotiating is something, my part of the world where it's expected over there. So different culture, different fit. I didn't realize that, but also the knowledge that I went over there with wasn't enough to truly get the ball rolling how I wanted it to. And I didn't actually know that until April, where that was a huge awakening for me, going with professionals and going back to that gym. So there's a really cool saying around, if you want to get fit, if you go to the gym, you have a nutrition plan and you follow a fitness program, you'll get fit. It's kind of impossible not to. So I was going to the gym, going to China, so to speak, in 2019, but I didn't have a good nutrition plan and I didn't have a personal trainer there with me. So I kind of was just making up the numbers, but not really getting going, where obviously China Magic and the April trip, as you know, mate, it changed our business.
Yeah, of course. And yeah, it's a very good point, because we always talk about, and we've obviously got pre-event training and then we're going to have calls. So we always say to go to China with a plan, because on previous China Magics, this is number 8, right? That's coming up in October, but on previous China Magics, and definitely me on my first time that I went to China as an attendee, and Athena sort of put a microphone in my hand and said, you're gonna earn your keep while you're here, and you're gonna deliver some content on stage and turn me into a mentor, I suppose, on that trip. But other than that, I'd sort of gone and like walked around Canton Fair and went, oh, that product could work in that brand, that product could work in that brand, but I didn't really go with a plan. So what you're saying there, like the gym and going and having a plan on what you want to achieve and following the steps, of course you're going to get inspiration and ideas while you're there, and you're going to find new stuff which we'll come into. But having a plan is also probably the most important thing, is going there with a plan. You know Canton Fair, like, I mean, you cannot get around every single booth or even every single aisle.
Well, I thought I could in 2019. Yeah. I get to the first exhibition hall and go, ready, set, go. And you just start, walking and trying to take everything in. I laugh because, everything's experienced in life. But I on the trip home, what I remember the most in 2019 was I was dirty. I had to pay for extra luggage because I had all these catalogs and stuff that I thought, I'll be rich. I got all these catalogs from 1,000 different products. I got everything from a sports barbecue to a hammock to, like I said, to Post-it notes. I had everything, and I've come back and achieved nothing. So, having that plan, which is your nutrition diet, we'll say, but not only with, obviously, and we'll chat about it in a moment, with China Magic, I've got my nutrition plan. I've also got the personal trainer with me as well. So I can say, hey, this is my plan, nutrition diet, wonderful, but I've got the personal trainer here saying, this is what you need to do next. This is what you need to do next. Let's get into it. Let's go. And you get fit.
Yeah, and you get fit and you get rich. Not by collecting catalogs from random stuff.
No.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about actual results then. What were you able to achieve in April? Do you have some examples of the stuff you were able to do and what that meant for the business?
Yeah, so we had factories that we were working with for a couple of years. And again, you don't know what you don't know. But working with you guys, and in April, we sort of sat down and had a look at where our business is at. And I think the question was asked by yourself or someone else in the team about, okay, what would this trip look like if it was successful? If you sat at the end and says, okay, this was a success for us, and let's work backwards about how we're going to achieve it. Simple question, but I was like, great, all right, let's give some thought process to that. So then we looked at our business, we looked at different things that could really help us going, and cash flow, which Georgie mentioned the other day, is so important. So supplier terms, let's go meet the factories, build the relationships, of course, find new potential products, but also let's look at cash flow terms to see if we can help, obviously, with our negotiations with our suppliers about payment terms, because in turn, that will really help our business. Something that I thought I understood, but I didn't really until it was broken down to me like that. So my terms beforehand was a 30% deposit with a 70% prior to shipping. I negotiated to a 10% deposit and 90% prior to shipping, which I thought I was doing well. When we went down with the factory, obviously we built the relationship, knowing that we'd worked with for a period of time and spoke about the bigger picture. With your help, having the personal trainers there, we then negotiated a 20% deposit, but now the 80% is payable 90 days after shipping. And for people who don't quite understand that concept, it's if they're shipping the goods with only 20% payable, within that 90 days, at 90 days after that shipping, I'd need to pay the balance. However, I would have landed in Amazon and most likely be live within 45 to 60 days. So I've got at least a month of selling to get my money back to pay that supplier. So essentially, they're vendor financing your business. So as we keep growing, my issues around I've got to find more cash to put into this business, it's almost been solved by having this relationship and these cash flow terms. That's incredible.
Just on that, it was a good point, and this is my favorite subject, and other people that are listening know that I talk about this a lot. But we've just financed the business because we've managed to sell through enough inventory to pay the balance. So that's finance, and I'd like to say it's free. It's free finance, right? And that's the point that I make. It's free finance. We haven't had to borrow money, which has a cost attached. But not only that, off the back of that, after you negotiated that, you managed to get the cogs down as well. So it's not free finance. You're being paid to use them to finance your business, right?
That's right. Yeah. And that was, again, you don't know what you don't know. These teachings were, I'm learning off people, who are doing 8 figures. And 8 figures is just a number like this. Same as the real estate game. People just throw numbers. Oh, he does 7 figures, does 8 figures. You write down $10 million on a bit of paper and then think about, okay, that's 8 figures that this person has done in this industry. They probably know what they're doing. So let's not reinvent the wheel and just obviously follow that successful formula. So taking those learnings and understanding about with our cogs, and again, I didn't realize that, well, supply negotiation in regards to terms is a different subject than actual costs around the goods. And again, with my negotiation skills beforehand, I thought I could just have a good chat with them, where no, you need to break it down and show them other quotes from other factories and other timeframes. And of course, we'd love to work with you, but this is what's out there in the market. So we need to meet these kind of numbers to move forward in business, and things just grow from there. So we got better cogs, yes, price on our products, better terms, built relationships, and found new products in their sample room, which is like another bonus that I had over there that I was hoping to achieve, but just didn't really expect to happen.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with it. We'll go in next, because I came to one of the factories with you down in Shenzhen, and you managed to get those terms and negotiated well and get that done. But then what else was eye-opening? And we talk about that separate room, and you've said this before, finding products in there. But
it's like a gold mine. Just leave me in there.
Yeah. And talk about the factory visits, because like I say, and I said earlier, you throw yourself into things 100%, which I love about you. And I feel like as a China Magic attendee, I haven't seen anybody visit as many factories as you have in one go. You were just constantly going to new factories. But what did you find? Obviously, you love going around the factories, as do I, which you'll see photos of me pretending I know how to use machines. But I like getting in there, understanding how the products are made and using machines and understanding all that piece. But what was it about the factories that you think was exciting, but also beneficial for the business?
A few things. Well, yes, I worked my absolute butt off when I was over in April, but I love this. I find this fun. So when it's fun, it's not work. But again, these are learnings I had previously in business. One of the best piece of advice I ever got was everything is time, education, and implementation. That's it. If you want to be good at anything, and I want to be good at Amazon because I understand the lifestyle it'll give me for myself and my family, it's just time in this game. I educate myself around the best people I can, which is Titan and China Magic, and I implement exactly what I learned. If I do those 3 things, I'm sweet. So by me going to seeing as many factories as I could, I understand that, right, now I'm implementing the work that I was taught from you guys. Seeing these factories, there was a few pieces. When you see the factories and you see all the parts broken down, you get a better understanding around, okay, well, this is the production process. So are there some things that, I can have conversations to them about potentially streamlining? You can't help but see other products that they're making for other clients around the world, around whether it's Europe or America, and sort of think, okay, well, that's not a bad product. Could that fit within my product range? Could I create something slightly different to that to fit my avatar? So there's things like that I saw that I wouldn't see on Alibaba or a conversation. Sample rooms was amazing. I didn't understand the power of that. So in the sample rooms, some of these places are huge. Like literally, there's just rows and rows of shelves with all these different samples. They had dust and crap over them, everything, because they've been there for such a long time. But I'm going through them and I'm looking at going, you know what? That's been made a long time ago for maybe a client that made a sample but didn't go ahead with it. They just stuck it there. But I can use that component to a new product I'm thinking about. I love this one over here. I've seen something similar. What are the costs on this? How can we do it? So I was just like, I said to the factory, I said, look, no disrespect, but just leave me alone. I just want to be in here for a couple of hours. And I'm going down, I'm taking photos, I'm pulling this one out. How about this? How about this? How about this? And the amount you can achieve in, 4 or 5 hours in that factory, the relationship you're building, can compared to what you could do over a Zoom call or whatever it might be, WhatsApp, how you deal with your suppliers. It's just incredible. And the factories love it as well. They were saying it's like 1 in every couple of 100 clients would come and visit them. It's a big deal to them. So to know that you've made the effort, that, you know what, you've even shown yourself that I'm serious in business here. That's why I'm here in China. That's why I'm going to make the most of things. The factory visits were huge for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that's an amazing stat. 1 in 200 of their clients actually go and visit them. So, yeah. And we were talking about this before. I was talking to Athena about this. Like, if you're 1 in 200 that have been to the factory, had a relation, like build a relationship with them, had a cup of tea, had a beer, had dinner, whatever it might be, had a good conversation, actually face-to-face engagement, and had a conversation. When there's an issue with production, who do you think out of those 200 clients they're going to prioritize their production, right? They're going to go, okay, the guy that came down and had a beer with me and told me to leave him alone while he was in the sample room, and we had a laugh and a joke, and he jumped on the machine and nearly hurt himself. So that you're going to take priority over 200 other people that haven't been to visit them and just communicate by email.
Exactly right. You are the person top of mind because you made an effort, and obviously you showed up in the correct way. I was chatting with one of my colleagues yesterday around just things that come from that, you know, you're not going there with that ulterior motive, but things happen exactly as you said, where one of our factories says, do you have an approximate date that you would potentially make orders before the end of the year? So obviously, she goes, I just want to make sure everything's going to be ready for you before Chinese New Year, which is 1st of February. However, she goes, it's also important because with every factory, they have great workers and good workers. So she's like, I'm going to make sure that obviously on our production run, I have the best workers available because they have an inside knowledge, of course, on our production tables, on your products. Now, this is not something that I prompted, but I'm thinking, that is awesome. I've already got, you know what, because of the relationship that we've built, our sales associates and operation owners and factory owners, making sure that we're preempting when Graeme will make his order, because we're going to have the best workers on his table and we're going to make sure everything's out before Chinese New Year. The other orders, they can wait. So that's something that you have to earn. And you can do that by obviously going to the factories. But as I go back to beforehand, going there is one thing. To have the professionals and personal trainers, I'll say, alongside you, guiding you along the way, who've been there before, so you're not reinventing the wheel, was the biggest key for me.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's funny that at that particular factory, I think one of the ladies there was like, I've never seen a Western person before. And she was just in awe and got photos with her and stuff. She's never seen a non-Chinese person. So that just goes to show somebody who's 20 years old or whatever, you make a big impact by going to see them, and you are front of mind, and there's a lot of respect gained there by visiting. So okay, we know we need to go to China. We know we can't afford not to go to China, is what I've said on previous chats here. So you're coming in October. Across the bottom of the screen, you'll see ChinaMagicTrip.com. The people can come with us. You're coming back, and you're coming to help mentor as well, like you do in Titan, like you do in every aspect of your life. You want to give back and you want to help. Yes. So what are you trying to? Okay, cool. 2 questions here. What are your goals in this prep that we're talking about? What are you going to try and achieve for your own brand? And then what are you hoping to help the attendees with while you're there?
Okay. So starting with our own brand, from our previous trip, we have payment terms that are very favorable. So we wouldn't be going back there to try and renegotiate or get better on those. The biggest thing is during this time, we've had certain samples made that will be ready for us with our existing factories that I will be inspecting and potentially giving the go-ahead order for our Q1 production. There's also new factories that we're going to go visit because our existing factories didn't make these style of products that we're also making samples at, that we want to look at those samples, but also, as I said beforehand, go into their factories, go into their sample rooms. It's like a snowball effect. What else can I find, obviously, from their, other clients that they might be working at the moment to get ideas from? So they're the 2 main keys around the existing products that samples, I should say, that we've made to inspect those and continue to build that relationship, of course. Go and visit new factories. and find new products. And obviously with the Canton Fair, the different ideas we'll get from there.
Of course.
It's amazing, you know, when you're actually on the ground, but have that nutrition plan. I keep going back to around, okay, I have a focus around exactly what I'm trying to do here, rather than just get lost in the Walmart of China. Then, like I said, you know, I've no doubt we'll get some more things for that.
Just a correction on there, we will push for longer terms. We will push for better payment terms. Every single order.
Mate, we're at 90 days. You're going to go for what, 6 months?
We're going to go for 120. We're going to go for 120.
Oh, geez, you're good. Well, you know what? That will there you go. We're going to do that one too.
Always longer terms. Let's see what we can do for sure. Yeah, cool. And then in terms of helping out some of the attendees, from your experiences, what are mistakes you hoping to help them avoid, or what confidence are you hoping to give them?
Well, I would like to be able to, you know, sit down with the attendees that, you know, we help at the end and saying, okay, well, we started this journey, the China journey, we'll say, with an idea in mind around, okay, this is what we'd like to achieve to be successful, and for them to say, yeah, we achieved what we wanted to go out about doing. I think factory visits I can definitely help with, and obviously the team. I feel a lot of people can be quite timid and worried about, look, you know what, or can I say this, or what are my thoughts around that? So once you know, like, the rules of the game, so to speak, and again, you have successful examples of other people who've done it beforehand, you can play that game much better. So I know we can definitely help with that, to help with supplier terms, which I didn't realize the effect until we got them. So in the back of my mind, I was like, geez, it'd be good to launch into Europe because we're doing good in the US, but you know what, that's a big cash flow investment whenever else. As soon as we got terms, I can open up Europe like that. There's no excuse anymore. So just things like this just happen that you think will be good one day, that become true, obviously, once you get these things in place. So yeah, the main goal for me would be to actually help others achieve their goals, whether it's finding new products, whether it's obviously, like I said, you know what, working with factories, new factories that they might be visiting, a focused plan, and especially down to, and we go back to this in Titan, it's spoken so much around avatar, who you're serving, what problem are you solving? So if we're going there with that intent to find products, you know what, that we understand our avatar, we know the pain points, and we know obviously, like, you know, what the products we're trying to source, that's, I feel, a must, because going to China and saying, which I did in 2019, I'm just going to look through the shelves, something will just pop out at me, and that's what we'll go with. I can promise you, even after you bring home 1,000 catalogs, nothing still pops out to you. Everything actually pops out to you. So.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that whole support thing, knowing I'll quote you here, because this is one of your favorite sayings: you don't know what you don't know, right? Which is why you engaged in science, which is why you want to be around professionals, which is why you want people with experience around you, and having people like Kian and some of the other mentors that we got there to tell you, these are the questions you need to ask, these are the things you need to look out for, here's the red flags. Having that gives you the confidence to go into a booth or go to a factory and really know that you're asking the right questions and you're going to come back. And when you come back with those answers in the evening after we've delivered some content, have some questions, go, okay, cool, what do you think of these answers? Is this a red flag to you? And you're learning exactly the game, as you say, as you're there, right?
And that's like I said, what was most valuable is it's specific. So there's so much coaching in the world, but in the Amazon game, where, you know what, as a concept, this is what you should do. Concepts are great, mate. Just tell me. All right. I'm hungry. I'm going to go get it. Tell me what to do. I'm good. And I'm going to listen to you, because you're not an overweight personal trainer. You actually do this for a living, and you actually, you know, have a track record. And that's like, it's the Tony Robbins thing, right? You know what? You ask better questions, you'll get better answers. Awesome. But what if I don't know the question to ask? So I can't ask a better question if I don't know that better question. But if I can explain my situation to someone like yourself, or even me now that I'm at a later stage in this Amazon business around, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and what would you do in this situation? Then we can say, well, most likely there's someone there that's had exactly that issue, that problem, and they've tried certain things that hasn't worked, but they have tried things that have worked. So this is the angle you should go for, and you go. So that specific actionable information that you get on ground, which is that personal trainer side of things, is invaluable.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. Okay, cool. So I suppose let's talk about where we're staying. Let's talk about the hotel and that experience, because this is something else, right? I call it my China home, because every time I go to China, I stay at the Four Seasons in Guangzhou, just because we feel so at home. But what's the what are your thoughts on it? How did you enjoy it?
It was amazing. In videos everywhere. I felt like I'm very much a tourist, even though I was there for business. I'm like a tourist in this place. Like, even when you walk in the reception, you sort of look up and you think, what is going on here? So now it's an amazing place to stay. But besides, obviously, going there, it's big days at Canton, visiting factories. Doesn't matter how much energy that you have. I know I was buggered every day. So it was nice to actually go home. You call it your home in China. I've only been there once, but it's definitely my home. I'm not going anywhere else. But no, to be in that sort of luxury, it just helps with your mindset as well. Again, when in 2019, I cheaped it out. I don't know why I've done this too often, but you know what? You cheap something out and you think, hey, I'll be able to do it on a budget. It's very rare you get to the end of that and you think, I made a great decision. You think I probably should have just spent a bit extra and actually truly made this, what a worthwhile adventure, rather than trying to cheap it out. And what did I really achieve? So where I stayed last time was average at best. And again, it was like not only having a hard time in China, running around trying to do things, what I thought was going to be the right way, but not having those coaches truly guiding me. But when you stay in somewhere average like that and the food is horrendous, which doesn't help, it's hard to actually have the energy and motivation for the next day. Where in the Four Seasons are completely different. The breakfast is just beautiful, which is a great start to the day. The surroundings are excellent. And again, you're just surrounded by like-minded entrepreneurs, even if they're not at the level financially. You might be in your Amazon business, some are above, some are below, but it doesn't matter. When they've all got the same mindset, it's somewhat contagious, hang around the right sort of people. It's amazing where you'll get to.
You make a good point there as well. So the surroundings that you're in. So let's say that in 2019, you met someone at the Canton Fair, you met a supplier, you want to get a deal done. They have a sample. I'm going to bring it to you now. I'm going to bring it to your hotel. How do you feel that supplier is going to feel rocking up to your B&B and going, okay, cool, this guy's serious. He's told me that he's going to order $1 million worth of inventory over the next 12 months. And he comes to your Airbnb and sits in the foyer or in your hotel room with shitty internet where you can't bring up your presentation to go through it? Or is he going to take you more seriously if you come to the Four Seasons, you've got a lovely foyer where you can sit, the internet's fast, which is very rare in China, let me tell you, and you're able to have that conversation, right? So I think
exactly
there's the differences. Just aspire to that the difference in your location where you have a meeting with your supplier could be the linchpin to your
definitely
success.
They know, obviously, you're there to do business. You're not there to make up the numbers. And you don't realize until, and I have a quite a good relationship with my suppliers now, and they're saying, through Alibaba or whatever else, they're getting 100 inquiries a day, and she's like, probably 2 or 3 might order a sample. So they're just getting bombarded with just time wasters all the time. In going to China, yes, it's a good step of going to the gym, but I'm sure there's still a lot of people, and we know that there is, that are still there to make up the numbers. When they're coming to the Four Seasons Hotel for a business meeting, it's not a catch-up, it's a business meeting. You know what? We have a structured agenda around, this is what we're going to go through today, this is what I'd like to achieve and how I'd like to move forward with business, and you're serious about things. Yes, it sets it up. No, I wouldn't take anyone to the Airbnb I did in 2019. But I didn't even know that you can have factories visit you. Again, I didn't know. I'm like, oh, I thought I have to go to them and they meet me at Canton. They can actually come to my hotel. So there is big there's big benefits in that as well, of course.
Cool. And talking about, we're talking a lot about gyms. The gym in the Four Seasons is pretty incredible. When you're on the treadmill overlooking the river and you can see the Canton Fair in the.
I wasn't there often enough because I feel like I'd done my Ks for the day.
I think 25 Ks of walking at the fair a day. So I think you more than
my steps were good.
The rest.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we're coming up to 35 minutes now. So for anybody who is interested in joining us on China Magic, getting some of the results and some of the experiences that Graeme got back in April, and hanging out with us and seeing what we can achieve to explode your business, across the bottom, ChinaMagicTrip.com. If reach out to Graeme or myself directly. We'd be happy to answer any questions as well. But let's end here. What if somebody was on the fence about coming to China Magic now in October? What would be your advice to them?
I would ask them what's their plan B. So my thing around China Magic, and it's so much easier for me, honestly, that I've been there. I've seen the difference it's made in my business. I've said multiple times, it was, if I try and break everything down about this Amazon journey, it was the singular part that, it was the biggest needle mover for me. Being at, the place where I needed to be to grow this business, having the right advice, specific and actionable, and the true professionals that are doing ridiculous numbers that I aspire to, not by people who, can speak about things, but they've never actually done anything in their life. So having that, it was by far the best thing I've ever done in my business. And going in 2019 and running around like a chicken cut off my head or whatever you call it, just crazy over there, full of energy like I am now. That's who I am, but I didn't really achieve what I wanted to. So that direct comparison, it's easy for me to say you have to be there. But I guess for those on the fence, I would ask what is plan B? Because if you're really serious about, what Amazon making, this business work for you to give you the lifestyle that you choose to have, what's if this is not going to happen, what's plan B? Is it to have a go on your own? Is it to watch more YouTube videos? And, what else are you going to do? So that's what I would consider around, okay, well, one, how seriously am I taking this business? And if I am going to move it forward and I'm not going to do China Magic and hang out with the Titan crew, what am I going to do?
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for taking the time this morning. I say this morning because that's what we are in Australia, normally in the future, but over in the US, a little bit in the evening. So, yeah, thanks for taking the time, man. Really enjoyed talking to you. And, hopefully I did it justice after Athena smashing a load of these out, and she's very good.
Very, very hard to follow. But as you said beforehand, if anyone's got any questions and they want to reach out whenever else, I'll help anyone I can. So
we know that already, man. All right, thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thanks for having us, mate.